It's round 5 of 9 on the Audi FIS World Cup Giant Slalom Tour, and it's Ed Drake and Marcel Mathis taking you through the action. We are about to see Loic Meillard try and tackle this infamous racetrack, the Königsbergli. The conditions night and day compared to yesterday's slalom after the switch of the schedule, and let's see if Loic Meillard can really ignite his 2025 World Cup season. It's been a very difficult time for him on the GS skis as we take a look at the course that's been set by the German team.
And we can see he's got a good rhythm on the top section. He's being pushed out of position slightly here, but this is what I was talking about. Those fall-away turns, you got to be snappy on the left foot turns, and then a bit longer on saddle on that right foot turns. He's found a good rhythm. He looks more aggressive than he did previously, and it's always really tricky to say on the first racer, but he's got to make sure that he's getting the most out of his bib today, because it's going to be rough and bumpy for the rest.
It certainly is. Want to take advantage of the early course. It certainly looks like it's slick underfoot, the terrain being very abrupt, as it always is, and Meillard looking good, but again, not quite at his fluid best, you have to say.
Yeah, and quite late here in the line. It's tricky, it's quite round, it's a lot of transitions here. Nicely over the undergate, and this is when you deep dive into that steep part. You've got to be really strong on that outside foot. It was okay, no major mistake, but he could have let those skis run a bit more.
Yeah, well, let's see how it stands up. 1:15.15, and the wall of Swiss noise in the finish area. He didn't get to appreciate it yesterday, failing to finish. But what a race, what a day it would be to be a high-level Swiss athlete in this resort.
Bib number 1 as a Swiss athlete, diving into that finish there in the Bluebird day.
Kristoffersen, 5 times on the podium, 3 times the runner-up, never stood on the top step. One of the only places that this man's impressive record hasn't featured his name at the top of the leaderboard, and he's starting well. Aggressive on his second run. He talked about he's not actually been fiddling too much with the equipment on the slalom skis, which has given him a better base to be able to challenge and able to try and make up some time against Odermatt. And 0.26 off the pace a little bit. We know he can turn it round.
Yeah, we can see he's getting quickly off the skis, but he has to work really hard. You can see his hand movement. He's trying to move forward, trying to accelerate, letting those skis go down the mountain, but continues to lose some time. It doesn't look like it's as easy for him as it's supposed to be.
No, well, he's now down to 0.4 off, and we know that Loic Meillard's final section was very quick, so he'll need to try and make up some time here if he possibly can, as Kristoffersen looking not quite again. That sort of smooth touch that seems to be missing from Kristoffersen at the moment. Late coming into this next section. Found some time, though, in touch.
Now let's see what his tactic is down that steep little bit where we saw Meillard doing really well, but quite late in the line there, wasn't able to let those skis really go down the mountain.
Well, as Kristoffersen rounds the last couple and into second position, 0.27 behind again. But it's back up to the top already for Mr. Marco Odermatt. 3 wins on the bounce, trying to make it 4 wins on the bounce in Adelboden, and make it 3 from 5 starts on the GS Tour. Now, which Marco Odermatt are we going to see? I think it'd be a brave person that bets against him being full gas and full attack, settling into the challenge really nicely through these early turns.
Well, he's trying to be very active right from the get-go. Good opening section. A bit too much upward movement. Doesn't let those skis do the talking. It's just that snow contact in between the gates. You can see he's just going quite straight with his upper body and not releasing them down the mountain as much.
It doesn't look like he's able to get off the edges quite as cleanly as we normally see from Odermatt, and again, losing more time. This is a turn up for the books, says Marco Odermatt. Oh, if he wants to make it 4 from 4, you have to say he's going to need to turn it up and dial it into something special, but just getting caught out by the terrain. Very heavy edge pressure through some of these rollers, as Odermatt doesn't look at home at the moment.
Yeah, that fluidity is missing a bit from Odermatt today. We see him just having a lot of that upward movement, which doesn't mean he has the snow contact, but very closely onto the gate here. And this is where Odermatt usually accelerates on those last couple gates. Good line, good high line. I'm not sure if he can claw much back here, but it's a solid run.
Well, some speed across the line, but he's managed to found 0.4 of a second, but still 0.34 back. At some point down there, he was 3/4 of a second behind. just managed to transition from the steep onto the flat with a bit more speed. Smile on his face. I think he won't quite realise just how far away he was about halfway down of that run. Luca De Aliprandini, the next and last Italian on the hill. Now went out of the start gate, absolute hell for leather on run number 1, doing the same by the looks of things on run number 2. Thankfully got a bit of a longer start interval now to be able to see what's happening up top. 0.33, he started this run with, oh man, he's taken some decent airtime down on the Königsbergli and absolutely flying yet again from De Aliprandini.
Unbelievable risk taking on those opening sections. We always talk about how quickly he gets off his feet. He's trying to go the most direct line that he could find today. He's getting himself in all sorts of problems, but really quick recoveries. A second ahead. What a run so far from Aliprandini. And now it's dial it a tiny bit back on those really difficult rollers here. Good transitions, bit of a drift. He hasn't taken too much out, and he didn't have to have a very heavy edge there.
Well, he did dial it back, and he's got a tiny bit of tactics sneaking into his skiing, and even with those tactics, he's managed to find time. De Aliprandini on the absolute run of his life at the moment. He's only got 1 podium to his name in his career, and a 125th World Cup start. We're seeing some of the best skiing we've seen from De Aliprandini, right on the ragged edge from top to bottom, and boom, De Aliprandini delivering on the snows of Adelboden. One of the most exhilarating and exciting runs that you may ever see on the Giant Slalom World Cup Tour. De Aliprandini delivers, and delivers by over a second.
Huge run, huge performance. Heads up to Luca De Aliprandini. He's had a tough old season so far, but this run he just took his heart and was just skiing for it. So many recoveries, but lightning quick.
Needs to risk it all. De Aliprandini's run was absolutely exceptional. The margin now, 1.06 of a second, and Odermatt took his time on the first run to find his form and to find the speed, and this run absolutely found it from the beginning.
Yeah, and he was talking about changing a bit of his setup. You can see he feels much more confident on that opening section, building on what is already a huge margin. A bit of a mistake there, but right back into the track, and you can see he's just willing to move forward, willing to do exactly what you said earlier. You want to get faster and faster on this track.
Well, not lost anything between those two intermediates. Still holds a big advantage, but these shady areas are now very, very dark. Much harder for the racers to pick out the ruts that will be there underneath the feet as he comes into this tough turn. Oh, very straight, very direct, still carrying some good speed.
Carrying some good speed, just made it with the line there. Would have lost a tiny bit of time to Aliprandini, but he's still a huge margin. That's a big error, but what a quick recovery from Odermatt right there.
Amazing recoveries as he comes into the final stretch, very high as well as he tries to straighten up the line. This is looking very good. Oh, as Odermatt delivering yet another quality result on home snow. 0.69, Marco Odermatt deposes De Aliprandini. Swiss fans in raptures as Odermatt leads with 2 to go.
Oh, he's delivering time over time. Major error right there. Just lost all of his balance, but within a split second, he's back on track. Got himself into a position where he can attack the last track, and what a replay.
Body.
That was very close to that gate, but incredible run. And here we can see it again, just on that inside ski, but see how quickly he reacts, stomps onto that outside ski, and right back on track.
As it is Henrik Kristoffersen. The difference between him and Odermatt, only 700ths after the first run. Kristoffersen, 0 margin for error, you have to say. Needs to find the form and find the rhythm. Straight out of the gate does the Norwegian. 241st World Cup start, and solid turns at the beginning of this second run.
Yeah, good architecture and inside ski. You could see it coming the gate before. He's too far on the inside.
Loic Meillard, bib number 1. First after the first run, after going down first. He is the last man standing on the second run. 0.34, his advantage over his teammate and our leader, Marco Odermatt. Pushes out to the start gate. Can't afford anything other than full attack and full charge slightly on the inside ski on that opening left footer. That could be the wake up he needs just to get back and charge down this run.
very clean over those difficult gates where we saw people struggling. We talk about him not holding back a bit on occasions. He can't afford to do that right now. Lost a bit of time to Odermatt on that top section, but this is where he accelerated in the first one. Really settle on those turns, trying to point those skis down as quickly as he can. Good transition over this roller. What is the intermediate saying? Building on a lead to Odermatt here.
Well, he's found himself a bit of time, just over a quarter of a second ahead, but this is where he starts to look more relaxed. He can't afford to take his foot off that proverbial gas pedal as he needs to start really ramping it up. Time bleeding away, surely, as Loic Meillard looks like a bit of caution creeping in.
And this is where we see Odermatt having to make a small little mistake, building on a lead here. How is that transition going to be? Very tight on the gate. Should be able to point it right down into the right direction here. Oh, that's a lot. He took a lot off there.
Well, here comes Loic Meillard. Can he depose his teammates? Some confidence skiing on the top half of the run as Loic Meillard charges, but he's missed it. Oh, it's Odermatt that wins for the 4th time in a row. Loic Meillard can only manage 2nd position, and De Aliprandini rounds off the last spot on the podium. Oh, Swiss fans were already guaranteed to have a Swiss man on the top step of the podium. You have to say that Loic Meillard really good on those opening turns. Then it came to the tough turns, Marcel, and he just didn't want to risk it all for the win.
Just that 2-3% that he was holding back, that was the difference between him being 2nd and him winning today. What a great race it has been. Huge performances by all of them 3. But he will be a bit gutted.
I think he will. But we talked about coming into the season so far. Loic Meillard ranked 18th in the overall standings. He's had a torrid time on the GS skis, so maybe you can allow him just not to have the confidence when it got really tough to light it all up and go for the win.
Yeah, totally understandably, he hadn't had the great season on the giant slalom skis, but we saw some very, very good turns today. Should give him a ton of confidence, but it's hard to beat that man, Marc Odermatt, 4th time in a row.
Yeah, 4th time in a row in Adelboden, and it's his 3rd victory on the bounce, and he will extend his lead at the top of the Tour standings.
Tough, it gets dark. All sorts of problems from people, but the people that took the most risk, Odermatt, Meillard and Aliprandini, got himself onto the podium. Aliprandini's 2nd podium of his career, 1 in Alta Badia, 1 in Adelboden. Those are the places you want to be on there.
Yeah, if you're a giant slalom skier, those are the meccas, aren't they? But those are the places to deliver the goods. 2nd in Alta Badia and now 3rd in Adelboden.
Marc Odermatt, just wow, 4th victory in a row here in Adelboden. Can you believe it?
No, today was very tough. A big fight against Loic. It's easier to stay down here and fight against a guy from another country. You somehow even feel a little bit bad, but yeah, Loic did an amazing race as well. Yeah, 2 on the podium like 2 years ago, so it couldn't be better.
Maybe I would say after a 4th victory, it's maybe time for you to sing.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Can we help him?
But I need the crowd in my back. Wenn ich nur wüsste, wo das Vogelisi wär. Das Vogelisi kommt von Adelboden her. Das Adelboden ist im Berner Oberland. Und das Berner Oberland ist schön. Ja, das Oberland. Das Berner Oberland ist schön. Ja, das Oberland. Ja, das Oberland. Das Berner Oberland ist schön.
Sending Switzerland aus der Schweiz, Marco Odermatt! Was für ein großartiges Podium kommt, meine Damen und Herren, noch einmal ein Riesenapplaus! Luca De Aliprandini, terzo, Loic Meillard, Des gewoon is back.
It's great to see that lighter side of him.
Well, I mean, he's not getting younger either, so he might set himself up for a second career right there.
I mean, Tina Matse did it, didn't she? She's got hit records to her name after she retired from ski racing. But Marcel, you know, this another great race here in Adelboden. I think maybe my favourite run still has to be that run of De Aliprandini. Had really everything. We've seen that glimpses of him over single runs, not enough over 2 runs.